have a friend, a very good friend of mine, and we had a conversation recently, and he said, Vitaliy, I want to write an article a week. How do I do this? And I said, well, first thing you got to do, you got to write every single day. If you write every single day, it's going to change your brain. It's going to rewire your brain to have a writer's brain. Let me explain what I mean by this. First of all, if you write every single day, if you show up, and this is what I do every day, if you show up for, however, 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day, whatever, every single day, it's going to be very difficult for you not to produce so many articles a month. It's going to be one a week or 3 a week, I don't know, it's up to you. But you'll be producing consistent content over time. That's number one. Number two, so when I tell him that, his pushback was, well, but the problem is I don't have 52 ideas. I don't have 52 ideas a year. I said, well, that's true and not true at the same time. It is true that you don't have 52 ideas today. But here's what happens to you. When you start writing every single day, it rewires your brain. It rewires your brain to start looking for ideas. I write maybe 40, 50 articles a year. On January 1st, I have no idea what I'm going to write throughout the year. But when you have a writer's brain, when you write every single day, you start looking for ideas. You become a more active human being, actually. When you listen to podcasts, you start listening for ideas. When you are reading newspaper, just anything. When you interact with life, you become more active participant in this life. Your mind always working, looking for ideas. Yes, you're absolutely right. You don't have 52 ideas today, but as you progress throughout the year, they'll come to you. And then another comment he made, he said, well, I'm only going to write about investing. He said, unlike you, I don't want to write about life. I don't want to write about classical music. I only want to write about investing. And I laughed and I said, this is what you think today. But if you write every day, your brain right now is, let's say, maybe wired as 5% writer and 95% investor. If you do it every day, it's going to get rewired to, let's say, 20% or 25% writer and 75% investor. And then it's going to have a mind of its own. Because when I started writing, I never thought I'd be writing about classical music or my kids or Stoic philosophy for them. Writer's brain kind of takes over and you start venturing into other topics. Because I think this is what happened to me. I realized that there must be more to life than this, and this being just investing. That's my writer's brain story. By the way, there are different ways to approach writing. One way to approach writing, like professional writers do, the people who churn out a book a year. Okay, they sit down and they say, I'm going to write 1,500 words, and until I'm done, I'm not going to leave the room. And there is nothing wrong with that. I don't do that. What I do, I created time and space for myself to write. From 5 to 7 in the morning, I show up and I write. And then it's also very important as a writer to forgive yourself. And forgive yourself that you're going to have days, and sometimes actually I had weeks, when you show up to write and you have nothing. You sit in front of the computer and nothing comes out. Early in life, I would be very self-critical of this. And actually would make myself feel bad. Then I realized that I did not waste this time. When I was sitting in front of the computer, the time was not wasted. What I was doing, I was kind of planting seeds for my subconscious to kind of to turn them into eventual fruits. And a couple of things. Number one, writing is a non-linear process. Number two is that the subconscious is extremely powerful. And that a lot of times my ideas actually come not actually when I'm sitting in front of the computer, but when I'm walking in the park. And the seeds I planted this morning suddenly bear fruit, where I look at the tree, I look at the pond, and suddenly clicks with me, oh, this is, I didn't even, by the way, it's the irony of this, I didn't even know I was thinking about it, because it was deeply in my subconscious. So when you sit down to write, if you're a professional writer and you can produce 1,000 words a day, that's a more or less linear process. If you're an amateur like me, I think most people are probably like me, you're gonna show up for weeks and you have nothing, and then in a day or two you suddenly produced all the content for the previous 2 weeks. It's just what happens a lot of times. The writer's block, I don't like that word writer's block. I think of it as basically it's just one of two things happening. Either I haven't figured out how to deliver the idea yet, or the thought is not fully baked yet, or there is some kind of internal conflict between what I want to actually say and how it actually comes out on paper. Okay, and this is why, like, you're sitting and you're writing things down and it just doesn't look right. Well, I guess you can call it a block because something hasn't been resolved yet. And the way you resolve it, by showing up and by doing it, by not giving up.